Welcome to Aromatic Chat, the podcast that introduces you to registered, clinical, and certified aromatherapists around the world. Every other week, my mom sits down with a different aromatherapist to learn about their aromatic journey and how they use essential oils in their lives and businesses. Aromatic Chat is produced by Lemon Balm Coaching, and my mom, Melissa, is your host. She is a master transformational coach and a registered aromatherapist.
Hey, and welcome to episode 110, Aromatic Chat with Sue Jordan. Sue was a practicing RN for 49 years. And then in 2014, she realized her dream of becoming a certified clinical aromatherapy practitioner. Being able to offer aromatherapy helps restore that caring connection, which is why most people choose healthcare as a career. One of Sue's overriding goals is to help people implement the safe, knowledgeable, and appropriate use of essential oils. She has started aromatherapy programs at St. Vincent Hospital in Indianapolis, Indiana, and at the Northern Arizona VA healthcare system in Prescott, Arizona. She's currently employed part-time at Royal Life Treatment Centers in Prescott, offering holistic health education, combining that with how essential oils may support well-being in a residential recovery treatment program. Sue also provides aromatherapy consultations and M-Technique hand massages in her home office. Sue has served on the Alliance of International Aromatherapists Board of Directors. She's on the AIA membership committee, served on the 2023 virtual conference committee, and is currently on the AIA 2024 conference committee. Her passions are hiking, preventing hunger in her community, hospice volunteering, being a team member for those attending a therapeutic riding program, and stillbirth prevention. Sue does all of this while claiming to be retired. I am honored to work alongside Sue on the AIA conference committee and thrilled that she said yes to being on the show. So let's get started. Sue, I'm so glad that you said yes to coming onto the podcast. I know you were like, but I don't have a business. Like, I'm not really promoting myself as an aromatherapist specifically, but I've been around you for quite a while through the Alliance of International Aromatherapists, and you just have, I don't know, so much to offer. So I'm just so glad that you said yes.
I'm glad I did too. Yes. Thank you for inviting me, Melissa.
Absolutely. And if you've listened to the show, you know the very first thing I love to hear is just your aromatic journey, how you ended up doing what you're doing in the aromatic world.
All right. Well, that's an easy thing. Probably back in 2004, I'm an RN, been an RN for 49 years. COVID happened. I made it to 49. Didn't make it to 50, but I made it to 49, working all of my life. I had a fabulous career as an RN, and I started looking at maybe something, a little bit different. What's out there complementary wise? What's out there alternative wise? I ended up working in an osteopathic hospital for a while. Very, very interesting place to work. And I learned about the osteopaths and how they're so familiar, with all the skeletal manipulation. It just seems like it was a beautiful combination. And I saw what they did for a lot of their patients there. And I actually had the chief of staff work on my back when I was pregnant with my second child. But I trusted him. My back was all jacked up, and he fixed it for me. And I'm looking at that and I'm going, well, look at this. How about this? And then I had more back issues, and I had a wonderful chiropractor that my nursing manager sent me to, and he bought me about 9 months before I ended up having back surgery. So that was kind of the start of my journey. And then I started looking at the community education that Indiana University, Purdue University has in Indianapolis, Indiana, where I lived at the time. And I see this little class presented by Pam Conrad. And it was an introduction to aromatherapy. And that's how it all started. She started talking to us about aromatherapy 101, basically, and a little bit about lavender. And, lavender can help your headaches. And I thought, no way, Jose, will that work? So I bought a bottle of lavender. I had a headache that was 10 out of 10. And voila, it was gone. it was gone within 5 minutes. Not only did everything smell wonderful, but my headache was gone. And I thought, wow, there must be something to this. So, a couple of years passed, and I learned a little bit more about aromatherapy. And I was working at a hospice at St. Vincent Hospital at the time, a beautiful inpatient 25-bed facility. And I started talking to my director about maybe we need to have essential oils, offer essential oils to our hospice patients. And, after I really, really tried to sell it hard to her, she finally said yes. And I said, I know just the person that can come and help us out with this. And that was Pam. So she trained about 5 or 6 of us. She was our consultant. She trained about 5 or 6 of us. And since I'm a policy and procedure geek, I was the one that wrote the policy and procedure, helped put all the things in place that Joint Commission approved when they came in and looked at what we had when they learned we were doing aromatherapy, nursing scope of practice. We could do that if we had training, if we could prove that we had training in our hospice. And it just kind of went from there. And finally, after we moved to Arizona in 2014, I did the RJ Buckle course at Harris Methodist and got certified. It was a long journey, long time from 2004 to 2014. And now it's 2024. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, 10 years are gone already.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say 10 years are gone, but you're 10 years into this now. You're 10 years into this and I love that you came from the nursing field into aromatherapy. In Europe, that's kind of the way things kind of work over there, right? They're nurses and aromatherapists, they're massage therapists and aromatherapists. Here in the United States, we can just be aromatherapists, which is really cool. But coming in with your background in nursing, understanding people, the structure and function of the body, I don't know. I just think that's really incredible. And the fact that you're a policy and procedure nerd, I love that. Did you say geek or nerd?
Both. It's both. Geek and nerd. It works. I was always on the policy and procedure committees, but we had an outline. An AIA has outlines. A lot of things have been published. So that was extremely helpful. We had safety guidelines in place. We had monographs in place. It was just such a beautiful, beautiful therapy to offer to our hospice patients. And then, the staff really bought into it. The leadership bought into it. And our patients, it benefited our patients and it benefited our families as well, especially as they're vigiling at the bedside. Yeah. And when we moved to Prescott in 2008, and I was hired by our Prescott VA, it's the Northern Arizona VA healthcare system. And after I got certified, I had done some things there. We had wellness days. So I offered to come and do the technique hand massages during the wellness days, with or without, and essential oils. Some people were a little hesitant about that. Said, that's fine. We can just do it with the lotion. We can, don't have to be exposed to it in case you're sensitive to it, et cetera, et cetera. So I started doing that, and then I got certified, and then the nurse executive contacted me and said, I want to talk to you about this because we would love to do aromatherapy here. And at that time, we had our big whole health wheel that came out. So many beautiful things in that whole health wheel. And it was all about, instead of saying to our veterans, what is the matter with you? What matters to you?
That is a huge difference.
It was just such a beautiful thing. So aromatherapy fit into, so many parts of that whole health wheel. And we got that aromatherapy up and running in the domiciliary, which is our residential recovery treatment program. So supported by it was like a perfect storm. So supported by the nurse executive, our other leadership, our nursing manager was doing her master's thesis on essential oils and mental health. Talk about a perfect storm, right? We became a culture of aromatherapy there. It was just such a beautiful thing. And the veterans, we were just really, it was a wow that they accepted it the way they did. But we started in the very beginning when they came for orientation. I did a little spiel if I was working that day. I was a staff nurse there, as well as trained the other nurses. And, we, again, in Arizona, if you can prove training with the nursing scope of practice, you can offer complementary therapies. But we just became this wonderful culture of aromatherapy. We let the veterans know when they came for their domiciliary orientation that we offered essential oils, and what we offered, I created brochures for them and that sort of thing. Some were skeptical, of course, which was perfectly fine. I said, I understand. I was like that in the very beginning as well. And they would share things with each other. They didn't share the oils. One veteran came to us and he said, I want that three-way blend. Well, what is the three-way blend? And he said, well, another vet told me about it. And he said it really helped his anxiety, and it helped him sleep, and it helped, calm him. It helped relax him. We charted immediately when we gave our aromatherapy to our veterans. We were low budget, cotton ball and a baggie. And we also did topical applications with some unscented lotion. And I taught the staff about dilutions, or, what essential oils might work better for pain, or the pain combinations. And they came up with their own. But the three-way blend they called the trifecta, and it was a veterans and, invention. It was frankincense, lavender, and bergamot. And it works so well for so many of them, for so many things.
Are you still at the VA?
No, I retired 4 years ago.
Oh,
But I also trained the staff in the community living center and the intensive outpatient program, and it went on over to acute care.
do you know if that VA is still using the program?
Yes.
That's incredible, because I know
Mhm.
so many facilities start out gung-ho and on fire, and then it dwindles and then it
Yes.
gets lost. So that's great that they are still using the program
Yes.
that you started. That's fabulous.
I trained a lot of people, especially before I left. But currently I'm working part-time at a residential recovery treatment center in Prescott for about a day and a half a week. And I do groups there. I teach holistic health, and then, get to combine it with aromatherapy. I'm considered a group facilitator, and I've done that for 2.5 years. I can't believe it's been that long. But it's such a beautiful group for all those people there, because it's different, than the psychoeducation groups. They get to go into the garden, or into the forest, for that time that they're there. And the feedback from that has just been phenomenal. So I figure it's going okay. They're accepting it if they just keep putting me on the schedule.
That's a beautiful combination of psychotherapy
Mhm.
and holistic wellness, because
Yes.
psychotherapy is great. It's wonderful. We have to deal with the crap that's in our brains, but then
Yes.
what? But then what?
Yes.
Like, what's the next step? And that next step is total wellness. So,
Yes.
oh my goodness, Sue, I
Yeah.
had no idea.
And it's like, I always say attaboy, attagirl, because, they come there, a lot of them are from out of state, so they're coming to a different state. They're coming to a different environment. They're with different people. They're sleeping in a different bed. They're sleeping in a dorm situation. The food, some days
Yeah.
is better than others, that sort of thing. And I'm thinking, wow, and they're trying to concentrate, on becoming healthy and learning to, try to work through what all they're going through on so many levels. And again, they have become a culture of aromatherapy there as well, because they don't have it available 24/7. I haven't been able to train the staff there, but that may be coming down the pike. So we make nasal inhalers. We make roller balls. They love to do that. I call it playing in the sandbox. I'll talk about a topic or present a topic, especially like sleep. So many of them don't even realize, how important sleep is, and how our lymphatic system gets rid of all the toxins, especially for these folks, when they're sleeping, and, their sleep is interrupted, so much. So just talking about those sorts of topics, your digestion, a lot of them have used opioids. So, your digestion is really slowed down,
Yeah.
those sorts of things. So many topics to approach. And those folks, they're so smart, just
Well, and that is a misconception about drug addicts, right? So many people just
yes,
think drug addicts are losers living on the street, but so many of them, and I know people who have worked their way through their addictions. So many of them are extremely intelligent.
yes, recognizing who they are
Mhm.
and where they've been,
Right.
and integrating that into the group and what they know. Some of their peers will go, "Wow, I didn't know that about you." So
Mhm.
that's been pretty special. One of the clients, the last time I was there, and he said, "Sue, I have to tell you," he said, "I was so anxious today. I was trying to remember what I've been learning here about my anxiety and doing some self-care and some self-regulation and all that." And he said, "But I came in here today," and he said, "My anxiety is gone."
The power of our plants, right?
Yes,
It's
and
crazy.
it
Like
is.
like you said, you came in going, "Oh, surely that's not going to work."
Mhm,
I was
mhm.
kind of the same way. Like, really, a bottle this big is going to have that much of a drop out of a bottle that no, not going to work. And
Right.
then it just your mind is just blown because it does work.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so many of them are realizing that.
Did you have a favorite case study?
My research project was probably one of my favorite ones. The culmination of everything, I did my research study on anger. We have so much anger in this world. We're never really taught in this world. I don't think, in my opinion, and in my world, in my background, about, what do we do with our anger? Anger is just one of those natural emotions. It's just a natural thing that we experience. So, what do we do with that? Why do we feel angry? What, deep diving into all of that. So I did my research study on that. That was an amazing experience. I had 12 people in my study. They had 5 days. They had a little diary, that they could use whenever they felt like that. My oils were frankincense, and then frankincense and angelica.
Mhm.
Aromatherapy studies are so hard to do because of the aroma thing, right? I couldn't find any detergent that smelled like frankincense, for my control.
Right.
But I wanted to use the angelica because there had been some studies done with rats, I believe, about how the angelica was hepatoprotective.
Mm.
So I had kind of anticipated maybe being able to utilize this at the VA. So I thought frankincense and angelica might be a good combination with
Yeah.
the anger and then that hepatoprotective piece of the angelica, especially.
Anger is an emotion that is produced in the liver. Is that right? Am I remembering that right?
Yes, yes.
So the fact that Angelica is hepatoprotective
Hmm.
is very interesting.
One of my uh, people in the study said, I got out my nasal inhaler. Of course, nobody knew what they had. I got out my nasal inhaler because I was so irritable and I was just ready, to chew up and spit out a coworker. And I knew that that wouldn't work. So I went back and I got my nasal inhaler and, I kind of took a little vacation, did the deep breathing, calmed down a little bit. And they said, what came up was that I hadn't had a drink of water for like 4 hours. So many things, so many things that can benefit people.
And sometimes it's the simplest thing that we can do for ourselves that would be the most beneficial. Like, I know that sometimes when I feel like I'm hungry, it's not that I'm actually hungry, but my body needs energy. And it's
Yes.
not always from the food that I need the energy. Sometimes I need to hydrate. Sometimes I need to take a break to get that energy back. But being conscious of what your body needs at any given time, so important.
Yeah, that's whole self-care.
Ah, self-care.
Look at that.
Look at that. I know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just so glad that you said yes to coming on to the show, Sue. This is incredible. Thank you.
And when our clients at Royal Life, the place where I work is Royal Life, when they get to make a nasal inhaler or their roller ball, sometimes that's the first thing that they feel like they have some control over. There's just has been, a powerlessness, sometimes such a feeling of powerlessness, and to feel like you have control over a simple thing that you're going to be able to use for self-care. It's huge. It is a huge thing. The why behind, I think most of us do this, it is because of that caring connection.
Yeah.
And, especially in nursing, because I hate to say this, but a lot of that has been lost. We have all the equipment that we can attach to people,
And walk away.
even the electronic blood pressure machines, it's so different than putting a cuff around somebody and touching somebody and putting just,
Yeah, the
it's just,
stethoscope, holding the stethoscope on the skin,
yes.
actually listening to their heart. Yeah.
Yes, my provider actually put a stethoscope on me about 6 weeks ago, and I thought that is the first time anybody's done that in a couple of years,
Yeah.
and I thought, keep going back to her. She was
Yeah.
fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that whole caring connection. And, back in the day, I worked a lot of evening shifts. My husband and I worked opposite shifts, so we didn't have to have a lot of childcare. And we used to just put a great big cart together, and all of us would go down the hallway. We would empty the trash. We would, if people wanted, a sleeping med, they could get one. But we gave people back rubs, and we gave them a snack before they went to sleep. And it wasn't all that long ago, really, but that was our routine at night.
Yeah.
And people slept like babies, and you got to have your sleep.
Well, and that is one of the great things about bringing an aromatherapy program into a facility, is because it does foster that connection, right? I
Yes.
have to actually come in and give you your aromatherapy treatment, whether it's an inhaler, a cotton ball, a back rub,
Mhm.
whatever it is, a foot massage. And that creates that connection that people so desperately need when
Yes.
they're in that clinical environment. So, what are some of your other passions? I mean, you are obviously passionate about the work you're doing, but what else are you passionate about?
It kind of comes up with H's, the
Oh,
letter
okay.
H. So hiking.
Mhm.
I'd love to hike, beautiful place out here to hike. And I had mentioned that 2 years ago, I got to hike in France. I got to go from the outskirts of Paris to Chartres, France, with a group of women. There were 8 of us, 2 were facilitators. And it was a labyrinth pilgrimage. I am a labyrinth lover. I got to work with a labyrinth in Indianapolis when I lived there at Methodist Hospital, a Trauma One hospital. We brought a labyrinth into 3 different hospitals and explained and taught people about the labyrinth. It was under the auspices of the chaplaincy service. So if you're a labyrinth person, you want to go to the Chartres Cathedral, where the labyrinth has been on the floor since about 1215. Beautiful stone labyrinth. So hiking, horses. I always wanted a horse. I never have had a horse, and found out I can live without a horse now. But I work with a therapeutic riding center, and I'm part of a team that works with a disabled rider, because the philosophy is nobody is disabled on a horse. And I have learned so much from the rider that I work with on that team to keep them safe and, help them learn to be independent. You get such good exercise when you're on a horse. Anybody who's had a horse knows that.
Mhm.
So I've learned to groom and tack horses and pick hooves and muck, do all those kinds of things. Hunger. We have an organization out here called Yavapai Food Neighbors. So I work with that and contribute to that. We have a lot of hunger out here, which is very surprising. About 1 out of every 6 or 7 people are hungry. So we try to do something about that. So it just kind of comes down to some of those H's: hunger, hiking, and horses. And then another wonderful passion that I have been active in an organization called Healthy Birthday, or Count the Kicks. And it's an organization where we try to educate people to prevent stillbirth. So Healthy Birthday was started by 8 or 9 women in Iowa who were stillbirth mothers. And they adopted a program that started in Norway, all evidence-based. And Norway reduced their rate of stillbirth. We still have a huge amount of stillbirths in the United States. People don't really realize that, but we do. And so Iowa adopted that program, and then we brought that program to Arizona. So Sean Samilis, my good friend, is an ambassador for Healthy Birthday, and I'm the grandmother who's been assisting her. So we get our program, we get our information, we have an app, that will monitor and record the baby's kicks like the last 3 months, because a lot of problems start in the last 3 months of pregnancy. And we also, there's a lot of apps out there now, but I like our app. It's really cute. And we can monitor the kicks for twins as well. We got that program at our Yavapai County Board of Health. We've taken our information into OBGYN offices. We'll do a pop-up piece of education anytime, anywhere for anybody who wants to hear. And we've also worked a lot with our senators, our congressmen. There's a maternal fetal bill in Congress that got passed, but they left out the stillbirth part of it. So now the stillbirth part is in it because we met with all of our senators and House of Representatives people here in Arizona. And I also did some of that in Indiana.
So what are you working on right now that you're really excited about? And it doesn't necessarily have to be aromatherapy related. Just, what are you working on?
Well, it is. It is aromatherapy related. Our 2024 AIA conference is happening. It is September the 26th through the 28th. Oh my goodness, we have amazing speakers. We have amazing sponsors and exhibitors. Embracing and composing sustainable aromatics. We're going to be able to meet in person and
I know.
reach out and touch each other.
It's going to be so great.
Give each other a hug. We haven't seen each other for so long, and put names and faces together and meet our other members and network and have good food and learn so many new things in our aromatherapy community. We have so many, it truly is an international conference. We have speakers coming from all over. We have sponsors and exhibitors coming from India, Nepal, from Canada. We're going to have essential oils. A company has essential oils that they bring from Madagascar. Just so many incredibly wonderful things. And I know we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a gala the last night. We're going to go to Cheekwood, a botanical garden, the Sunday after the conference. We'll have some other networking opportunities the evenings that were there before the gala the last night. I don't know. Can you come up with anything else that you know about this plan?
I don't know. I don't know. And I can't even think of like what I'm most excited about, honestly, because I was looking at some of the vendors that are coming and I'm like, ooh,
yes,
and like getting my hands on vetiver from Indonesia. I mean,
yes.
who has an opportunity to do that except people who go to the conference, right? I'm so excited about that, but I keep hearing from friends, aromatic friends, and they're like, I'm coming. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we've never actually met in person and you're coming.
Yes.
This is not, I'm going to get to sit down with people that I've spoken with for years and have never met. I'm curious if you have a way for people to connect with you. I know you said you don't have a real, like a bona fide business name, website, things like that. But if anybody's interested in connecting with you about all of the different things that you're doing with the stillborns, with aromatherapy, with the addiction center that you're working at, is there a way that people can contact you?
My Facebook is Sue Stidham Jordan. That was always a mouthful to say, Sue Stidham. Yeah, I became Stu Stidham a lot. And and I got drafted as well. I got a letter to get drafted because I was Stu Stidham.
We'll include your Facebook handle in the show
Okay.
notes so that people could message you if they have questions.
Okay. Sue Stidham Jordan. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. They can find me
Excellent.
that way.
Well, as we come down to the end of our time together, I always like to just let my guests have the last word. If there's something that's heavy on your heart that you want to share, something you feel like maybe I forgot to ask, and it's something that's really burning, this time is yours.
Well, thank you. It's hard to talk about yourself. It's like the last thing you ever want to do, last thing I ever want to do. But this was so much fun. Melissa, you make it so easy. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share. And you would ask about maybe sharing something that was inspiring. So I will leave with that. I actually found my name tag.
As soon as I saw the butterfly, I knew exactly what it was.
I don't know if I can pronounce her name right. Marika Fleury from Malta. And I love this. I have it hanging up in my bedroom, believe it or not. Yeah, it's spread your wings. I have to put my glasses on here. Bear with me. It's too small to read. And I do have it memorized. Spread your wings and be the change, one drop at a time. Very, very inspiring. Her talk was so inspiring that day. She works with oncology and palliative care, and she shared about the work that she does in Malta.
Be the change, one drop at a time.
Yep, be the change, one drop at a time.
That's great. Well, Sue, again, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I mean, really very inspirational, the work that you're doing. You're retired and you sound just as busy as you were when you were working.
How does that happen, right?
Yeah,
Melissa and I say we failed retirement. That's okay, right?
I think in our society, in the United States specifically, we have this idea that retirement means I'm supposed to stop.
Yes.
And I don't think that.
Misconception.
Retirement is a shift to a different way of being. It's not stopping life.
Absolutely. The only other thing I would like to leave with is to encourage people to join a professional organization. Maybe a lot of people already have, most people do. But then think about becoming engaged. Just think about what is available. How could I, make one little step, take one little step into this organization? Everybody has so many strengths and skills, and you can offer that. You learn and you develop new strengths and skills when you engage in an organization, and you align yourself with people that are passionate and enthusiastic about what they do. And boy, does that recharge our batteries, right? It's like this conference. It's going to just recharge batteries, all the people that are attending, whether you're live or you do the online portion, it will affect you that way. And then, it really, really supports you in your aromatherapy journey. So that, that would be something else I would like to encourage people to do.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Sue. I appreciate you tremendously.
You're welcome. Thank you for contacting me, Melissa. And we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Woman of so many talents.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Aromatic Chat with Sue Jordan. Sue mentioned another aromatherapist who was a previous guest on the podcast, and I'll include her name in the show notes so that you can easily find that episode and listen to her interview. One of the most important things to me is connection. I love connecting with all of these different aromatherapists and you, the listener. Did you know that you can now send me a text message right from the show notes? I would love to hear from you and connect. Aromatic Chat is produced by Lemon Balm Coaching. I'm your host, Melissa. I'm an intuitive healer, and I help my clients move from feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, unheard, and sick to experiencing peace, energy, and mind, body, and spirit well-being. The first step on your journey to wellness is recognizing and releasing the stress in your life. There are 5 simple tips that I share with my clients, and you can get those tips right now at the link in the show notes in my ebook, From Stressed to Your Best, 5 Tips to Stress Less. Just click on the link and get your copy today. I will see you next week as I share my take on episodes 109 and 110. Until then, peace, love, and aromatics.